This beast comes out when it is 25 degrees below zero. It can rip your head off. It can fly as high as a bird. It can bite your face. The chicken cow, the chicken cow, the chicken cow.
Is it okay to be a fan of Wesley Willis? Let's talk about the concept of guilty pleasures for a minute. The term is supposed to refer to music which we enjoy despite knowing that it is not good. Essentially, it is supposed to function as a get-out-of-jail-free card where you can still think of yourself as a person with good taste, despite provably not being above enjoying some ridiculous garbage every now and then. Now, I personally find this concept of guilty pleasure to be a little disingenuous. Not least of which because it's based on the false pretext that one's taste is this logical, rational thing, or that it is even within one's control. But there is an additional category of guilty pleasure that goes beyond liking something that's dumb into the kind of enjoyment that you can object to on ethical grounds. And that is those cases where an artist's personal life and backstory make enjoying the music a little bit more of a questionable prospect. Normally, this comes into play when the artist in question has had a history of abhorrent or criminal behavior, but sometimes it is more of a function of the artist's particular mental capacities. Wesley Willis was a diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic 6'5", 300+ pound black man with a permanent bruise on his forehead due to his habit of greeting people by headbutting them. He got his start as a street artist in his hometown of Chicago, Illinois. Where he would sell his drawings of familiar cityscapes and landmarks. And then in the 90s, he met up with some musicians in the local Chicago scene, and basically became the quintessential beloved cult figure / outsider musician of the decade. His schizophrenia unquestionably informed his music, and even drove it at times. Especially when you take into consideration that despite having a clear and tangible passion for music, and demonstrating a strong grasp of what made it effective, there's just no getting around the fact that he had just about zero talent or ability when it came to making it. This is where things start to seem a little questionable. Here's a man who had suffered abuse, extreme poverty, one of the worst and most severe mental illnesses you can imagine, was homeless for a period of time, and was making this music that is ludicrous on its face. And here he is being embraced by the underground indie community of the 90s, and getting all the support and attention from people like Rick Rubin, Jello Biafra, Eddie Vedder, Billy Corgan. It's easy to look at a situation like this and see his fans as enablers, to buy into this narrative that he was being taken advantage of and exploited. Basically that his audience was there laughing at him and not with him. Here's the thing though, Wesley loved making music. Maybe he loved it even a little too much. There is no truly comprehensive list of all of the music that he released within his lifetime, but various reports put the number of songs that he recorded and released within his lifetime anywhere from 500 to 800 total. And how was he able to write so many songs in such a short time? Let's just say he had a certain formula.
Scream, Dracula, scream! You are an educated rapper. You can really rap your ass off. You can really knock it out. You are the greatest one of all. Easy. This band played at the Aragon Ballroom. About 2,000 people watched the show. The show was terrific. You are a good punk rocker. You are a singing maniac. You can really sing your ass off to the max. You are a good person. You are my favorite movie star. You are my big buddy. Al Capone was a hoodlum. He was a gangster. He kills people in gangland style. He is a stupid asshole. He is full of shit. Al Capone. Al Capone.
The received wisdom about Wesley is that he just made the same song over and over again. That's not 100% true, but it's definitely true enough. It's definitely really close to 100%. You only need to listen to, I don't know, 2 of his songs before certain recurring patterns start to become bluntly obvious. So you remember being a kid and being at a friend's house playing with the electric piano that they had, and it would come with these pre-programmed beats that you would just start playing and music would come out of them that you could play to. Wesley Willis would take this pre-programmed music and put lyrics to it and make songs. Sometimes he would make them minor key, sometimes major key. He must have had some pretty advanced equipment because he could actually change the pitch just by using one finger. Basically, he would just put his finger on different notes and change what key the song was being played in. And those are the only differences that you would hear between his songs. But he always had 3 verses, and they were always spoken word, about 4 or 5 lines. They always had a chorus that consisted of the title of the song exclusively being sung in this really off-key, warbling manner. And there would always be an interlude after the first 2 verses and chorus. Sometimes there would be a little noise solo in there. Sometimes they would just let the beat play for however long he wanted to. I read that he felt that 2 minutes and 50 seconds was the perfect amount of time for a song. Most of his songs do hover around that length of time. So I guess he would let the beat play for however long he needed to pad the length of the song out to 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Then after the final chorus, he would always say the words "Rock over London, rock on Chicago," followed by an advertising slogan. And then the song would end. This is his structure. Say what you will about it. It's inane, it's repetitive, it's stupid, it barely qualifies as music under even the most generous criteria. What you cannot take away from it is that this structure is his alone. No one else came up with it. No one else could have come up with it. This is an artist with an unmistakably original identity, and what's more, it makes his music immediately recognizable.
McDonald's is a place to rock. It is a restaurant where they buy food to eat. Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock over London, rock on Chicago. Wheaties, breakfast of champions.
The question is, why? Why would someone invent this structure? I didn't know Wesley, and all the interviewers I've read unfortunately failed to broach this subject, but I have a theory about it, and that theory is he had real bad schizophrenia. Like voices in his head cursing at him all hours of the day bad. He openly talked about his struggles with this condition, and always made sure to mention that music was an effective means of coping with it for him. Here's my theory. I believe that Wesley deliberately came up with the simplest possible approach to writing songs, because it allowed him to churn out song after song without laboring under the normal strain of composition, or dealing with things like writer's block or self-doubt. He just wrote. And to me, there's something admirable about that.
He ridiculed me, calling me a bum. I whooped Batman's ass! I whooped Batman's ass!
To be clear, this isn't some unsung secret genius we're talking about. His backing tracks for his solo work are just this stock music. Not out of a Casio keyboard as is frequently claimed, but out of a Technics KN. Still, it's just about the tinniest, cheapest, most generic, most soulless preloaded crap you can even imagine. Werner Herzog would have had a field day with this stuff. And then there's his voice. It's not just that Wesley couldn't sing. I'm not even sure whether he knew what singing was. And the unvarying structure makes it extremely difficult to listen to a full album, which I do not recommend. So, the saving grace of Wesley's songs by design become the lyrics, which alternate wildly between mundane details of everyday life, boring accounts of bands that he saw live, paranoid fantasies about beating the crap out of superheroes, songs of tribute and appreciation to people that he knew, accounts of incidents where his erratic schizophrenia-driven behavior got him into trouble, and even some true crime stories. It goes without saying that the combination of this rigid, homogeneous structure with these more outlandish and bizarre lyrical ramblings has an effect that is absolutely hilarious in an uncomfortable kind of way. And no, I don't think it's cruel to find entertainment and amusement in this stuff. Wesley knew that he was being funny a lot of the time. You can't listen to a song like Cut the Mullet and tell me that he wasn't being funny on purpose.
Get the rat's nest off your head. Get that crazy ass mullet off your skull. Take your ass to the barber shop. Tell the barber that you're sick of looking like an asshole. Cut the mullet. Cut the mullet. Cut the mullet. Cut the mullet.
Moreover, even if he's not in on the joke, so to speak, I honestly don't think he would have cared if some people were enjoying his music for the quote-unquote wrong reasons. He was not doing this for us. He was fighting evil demons that possessed him in his mind, and cursed at him constantly. He made songs because they quieted the voices, and helped him to cope with his condition. Clearly, whether anybody else enjoyed it was not the point. I mean, he has an entire category of songs that are just him commanding the voices in his head to perform lewd sex acts on animals.
Suck a cowboy's ass. Suck a cowboy's ass.
Yeah, apparently this was actually an effective method of keeping the voices in his head at bay. According to Wesley, they would be so disgusted by his graphic and vulgar language that it would actually leave him alone. Even if I didn't enjoy his songs, I think I would still find Wesley fascinating as a case study in using creative expression in dealing with mental illness. Creative expression has proven time and time again to be a successful method in improving and promoting good mental health. And Wesley was a living example of that. The fact that he brought joy to people's lives in the music that he made is just a bonus.
My yelling got me put out of the art store. The voices in my head cussed at me. I was yelling like a wild animal. I felt like a jackass screaming at the top of my lungs. Outburst! 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 Outburst!
At its best, this creative outlet could even bring you directly into Wesley's state of mind. If there's one thing that I think is key in destigmatizing mental illness, it's empathy. By directly addressing his struggles in his songs, he was inviting us to put ourselves in his place and try to understand what it was like to live with this kind of condition. Here's a song called Chronic Schizophrenia that for me is simultaneously horrifying, heartbreaking, and hilarious.
Riding the streets with no music sucks. Everywhere I go, I cruise the streets being called an asshole. Plus I'm being ridiculed and called a bum and called stupid. Chronic schizophrenia. Chronic schizophrenia. Chronic schizophrenia. Chronic schizophrenia.
Wesley Willis died on August 21st, 2003, 15 years ago to this day, of complications due to chronic myelogenous leukemia. His legacy is as an inspiration to everyone he came into contact with, to treat each other more kindly, to feel genuine passion and enthusiasm for the things that they love, and to just do the work that matters to us. The whole idea behind punk rock is that it's supposed to be a more egalitarian form. It's for anybody. Anybody can make it. It doesn't matter what your abilities are. It doesn't matter if you have any talent for it. You just get up on stage and you perform. There are no barriers to making what you want to make. If he can do this stuff, any of us can. Rock over London, rock on Chicago, Blockbuster Video. Wow, what a difference.